Hello, how y'all doing this morning? I'm going to talk to you about Marie Osmond, drama, destruction, and dysfunction. Now, I'm not trashing her because she's in the public domain, public person. Now, she makes enough money to live well for the next 27 lifetimes, probably for the next 30 lifetimes. And I don't understand why she cannot buy peace and happiness. And I know that you may say, well, you can't buy that. Yes, you can to some extent. I mean, if you really cannot deal with the world system, you can just go buy a 30-acre ranch and live out in the boondocks with the Bigfoots and the wolves, okay, if you really wanted to. So you can use money to make your life a lot less miserable, okay? I think she has drama, destruction, and dysfunction following her everywhere she goes. She seems to, in my opinion. I think one of the reasons is that she has a big mouth. She talks too much, y'all. She keeps spilling her business in the street. Now, what she needs, in my opinion, is some serious mirror therapy. Look at this person in the mirror. Have a therapy session with that person in the mirror. And ask yourself, why does this person in the mirror always have drama, always have destruction, always have dysfunction? And I guarantee that 98% of it's going to be this person in the mirror's fault. Okay? If you have a rebellious child, look at that person in the mirror. Why? Because you keep letting that child get away with stuff. That's why you have a rebellious child. You let that child get away with stuff when they were young. So she needs to do some mirror therapy. Now, this drama, death, and destruction are personality faults. Personality faults. Now, in the Christian world, we call them spirits, their mindsets. Drama, destruction, and dysfunction. Their mindsets. They seem to be attached to her. They follow her everywhere she goes. Okay. Okay. She needs to ask, what is it about herself? Doing some mirror therapy, that she has these three spirits, these three mindsets that follow her everywhere she goes. Okay. And for the record, I did read 3 of her books: Postpartum Depression, A Daughter's Gratitude, Laugh About It Now. I read all 3 books. Now, she married her first husband, Stephen Craig. He was a professional athlete. She was filthy rich when she married him. Now, I always say, my mother we used to have these discussions. You never should marry someone poorer than you are. If you're worth $1 million, you should marry somebody who's worth $10 million. But if you have $1 million in your pocket, you shouldn't marry somebody who's worth, get the $600 disability check. But my mother and I used to talk about it all the time. I am an advocate of staying in your class. I know that sounds bourgeois, but I'm an advocate of staying in your class, okay? You do need to be class conscious. I mean, that's what my opinion is. Save you a ton of trouble. So she claims that after the honeymoon, the day after the honeymoon, she left to go singing. Now, he's going to feel very bad about that. Anybody would. Okay. So she goes on the road the day after the honeymoon. And that is disturbing to a man. Okay. So he's all alone. And what does he do? He has an affair. Has affairs, plural. Okay. So she gets upset. And somewhere between there, she gets pregnant. Okay. See, celebrities believe what the world says about them. They never look at themselves in the mirror, the real them. They believe what the world says about it. Oh, you're Mr. and Mrs. Wonderful. Just like that Otis Redding song, Call Me Mr. Pitiful. Okay, they believe they're Mr. and Mrs. Wonderful. They believe that. For example, okay, when she marries Stephen Craig, she has this big wedding. She invites the world to the wedding. And then during the wedding, she announced, we're going to have a very private life. Well, why did you invite the world to your wedding if you're going to have a very private life, okay? I guess she was the last Mormon virgin. She wants everybody to know that, okay? So he has affairs plural. She divorces him. She trashes him all over media because she knows that he doesn't have any access to media. She goes on ET and he's sitting right beside her and she says, I've been making income since I've been 15. In other words, she has money, he doesn't. He's broke. Okay, and then she says he has no taste in decoration. Okay, she just spills all her business right there on ET. She goes to this other magazine and trashes him some more. She says he wasn't working, he has affairs, and once you lose that trust, you can't regain it. If I marry again, he's going to be older and more established, which is what happened when she married Brian. He's 6 or 7 years older than she is, and he was a music producer, whatever that is, okay? So she trashed him so much on the news media, I even felt sorry for him. Okay, so he sued her for spousal support, which he got. Duh. Okay. So she said, like I said, she said if she marries again, he's going to be older, more established. In other words, probably have more money. Okay. So she, like I said, I read all 3 of her books. In the first book, she says she didn't mention Steve that I could tell. She praised Brian. He's a nice guy. In the last 2 books, she couldn't stand him. Neither could her children stand him. Okay. Go figure that out. Okay, the rumors that he smacked her a few times, threw her down the steps, which should be a deal breaker right there. Called her a fat cash cow, which should be a deal breaker right there too. Okay. So, in the first book, all she did was brag about the $150 million that the family made. She took ice skating lessons, singing lessons, blah blah blah. And like I said, in the second book, she's trashing Brian. Third book, she really couldn't stand him. Okay, she said, I think in her third book, that she was a victim of child molestation. Of course, she said the details are important, and I don't know who she's protecting. She's always protecting people. She's always protecting the victimizer. Just like she won't tell the whole story about Brian. She won't tell the whole story. I heard that she says he's a monster. He smacked her and threw her down the steps. That should have been a deal breaker. Okay, so. Like I said, at this point, she can't stand him. Children can't stand him. So she trashed him all over the media. She's still trashing him. She says the only reason why they stay together is because of the children. Now, look, she's blaming her children because she don't want to face this person in the mirror. She's blaming her children. That's why they stay together. No, she stayed together with a monster. The same reason why poor people stay together with a monster. Because she felt she couldn't get out of it because she wanted him to love her and he didn't. Okay, and she told Larry King Live, it's been 20 years. Why in the world you got money to get out of a marriage and you live in 20 years of dysfunction? That don't make any concrete sense. And you know what? She's always giving too much information. I wrote 2 checks and to the maid and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know why you marry a man that the children can't stand him either. Why would you stay married to a man the children can't even stand? Okay? See, we as women, we have to trust our gut feeling. We don't do that. We throw our gut feeling to the wind. Okay? We need to trust our gut feeling. This man is a sewer rat. He's a pig. Get away from him. Okay? Now, like I said, there's always a danger of people believing what the public says about them because they don't know the real person. But when you look in the mirror, you will know the real you. I tend to think, maybe she thinks she's Mrs. Wonderful, Mrs. Utah Wonderful, the ex-version. Okay, and people have this persona about her, but who is she really? In my opinion, she's a braggart, she's selfish, she's an egomaniac. Okay, that's what my perception is. Okay, but see, we don't know the real her because she hasn't even looked at this person in the mirror. I wonder if Marie really is a Methuselah. Methuselah is a female demon that has snakes in her hair. We learned that in 10th grade when we studied Greek mythology. And I know some of you dumb kids don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. But I wonder if she's really a Methuselah, a female demon with the snakes in her head. We think of her as syrupy, sweet, blah, 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 Mrs. Wonderful. Okay, but I do think she has a big mouth. She made this big statement on The View that she's not leaving her children any money. Now, that should have been very private, but, she's having the biggest mouth that she does have. She just made a big announcement. Okay? In my opinion, children always need money. They always need help. But maybe over the years she has learned to shut up. Maybe she has learned to temper her tongue and put a gate. The Bible says put a gate over your mouth. Okay, maybe she's learned to do that in her old age, because she's over 60. She's getting old. Okay, but she does seem to want to keep her image and her name out there, so she's gonna say something outrageous like that. She's not telling us the truth while she stayed in the marriage. You know why? Because she's not looking at that person in the mirror. She's not doing any mirror therapy. Maybe she's just very difficult to live with. Maybe that's really the problem. Why in the world would anybody put up with that kind of abuse in the marriage for 20 years? I don't know. I guess because, she thinks she's the last sacrifice to Mount St. Helens. So why wouldn't he love her? But he evidently didn't. He didn't, okay? He beat her and stuff like that. And she's still protecting him. But maybe she has learned to keep her mouth shut. I don't know. But she's still talking. Have a nice day.